most of the poorest people who are surviving, they have all this stuff of pain and loss and struggle like built into their experience that they basically like end up being more resilient. They smile more and they experience more joy and happiness than so many of us that have so much.
Welcome to Hope Comes to Visit. I'm Danielle Elliott-Smith. This is a space for real stories and honest conversations, for real moments, for resilience, for light, for talking about hope. I'm really excited today to have a guest, Dr. Dan Peters, who is an executive coach and a psychologist and has his very own podcast, Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan. Let's take a quick moment to thank the people that support and sponsor the podcast. When life takes an unexpected turn, you deserve someone who will stand beside you. St. Louis attorney Chris Dully offers experienced one-on-one legal defense. Call 314-384-4000 or 314-DUI-HELP, or you can visit dullylawfirm.com. That's D-U-L-L-E lawfirm.com for a free consultation. Dr. Dan, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have you here today. I know that even just that short introduction doesn't even touch on your entire resume. There were pages and pages when I was looking at everything that you do. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, I'm excited for this conversation, Danielle. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's so fun how much crossover there is between what you and I do and what your podcast you do, inspiring stories and motivation and helping people to be the very best version of themselves. So let's start by talking a little bit about your podcast. Why did you start it, and what motivates you to want to bring out the best in people?
Great question. Okay, so I'm going to start with my previous podcast, Parent Footprint with Dr. Dan, which ran for about 8 years. And the focus of that podcast, while it was a parenting podcast, was really about the way for parents to raise healthy and engaged kids is for parents to be healthy and engaged in their own lives. Mm-hmm. And so it was a slightly different spin, or I'd say a little more modern spin that many of us are talking about these days, with less focus just on how do we parent the best? How do we, what tools and strategies, which are all very important, but like focus on us as people. So that actually ended at the end of 2024 after about 8 years. But back with COVID, I had this experience right when we were in lockdown. And, all the family was home. Our 3 kids were home. We actually had a friend of one of our kids living with us too. And as we all remember, it was a really intense time and an uncertain time. And my way of physical and mental and spiritual health is running. And that's where stuff comes to me. So I was on this run during lockdown, and I sort of received this, what do we call it, a message, a download, a thought. And it said, you need to bring hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom. And that kept going through my head, hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom. And at the time, our community was asking for connection. And so I was doing some Facebook Lives just to get people together. And that started this whole idea for me of the eventual pivot to the Make It a Great One. Okay. But it's also been consistent with all of my work, is really about seeing potential and seeing what could be and seeing what people are capable of and wanting to help them realize what that is in them. And so as time went on, and as my kids were getting older and are now young adults, I was feeling that there was some limitation with the parent focus, even by name. And I just kept getting hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom, hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom. And it pushed me to go to this new podcast, Make It a Great One, which really is, as you said, about bringing all of those things so people can be the best versions of themselves. And And these days, we need us all to have a positive impact on our family, our communities, and humanity. And that's what drives me.
Yeah, see, I love that. We're definitely in need of hope and wisdom and all of the goodness right now. In doing this podcast, what would you say has been the best thing you've learned?
Okay. I would say it's inspiration. The guests and their stories are so inspiring, and it just really motivates me to be the best version of myself. And the stories of whether it's trauma, whether it's hardship, whether it's serendipity, whether it's recreation, reinvention of oneself, it's just week in and week out, it just inspires me to keep doing it and to take it all in for my own life as well, knowing that I know you're having a recent pivot and this great new show, and you've done so much in your career. And I think for people need to hear that it takes courage and it takes risk to reinvent oneself and to keep growing and to not be complacent or scared or doubt oneself. And so I guess all this is to say is it's the inspiration of the human condition, with all that it comes with, to keep expanding.
You know, it's so interesting that you say the inspiration piece, right? Because that's, I think, the thing that always feeds me as well. It falls into the Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers, right? When we're struggling, when we're wondering where to look next, when we're feeling lost, it's looking for the good. And for me, in doing this podcast, I do believe that everyone has a story of hope that can inspire someone else. I believe that everyone has a little something in them that they have been through, that they have overcome, where they've had that moment of courage or that moment of resilience or that moment of growth. And people are probably going to get tired of hearing me say this, but I don't fall into the everything happens for a reason camp, because I've never been able to justify in my head some great loss for a child. Like, why would a child be the only one left in their family when they've lost everyone else? Or, why do my kids only struggle with having a mother who has had to overcome alcoholism, but then there are other kids who lost both parents? Playing field doesn't feel equal to me. Yeah. However, I do think that it is my obligation to figure out what it is I'm supposed to do with whatever challenges are put in my direction. And I think that there is hope in witnessing the experiences and the strength that other people use in their experiences. And for me, that's what this is. So even in hearing you share the experience of, well, I'm doing this parenting podcast, like I had a parenting and lifestyle website, and then was thinking must pivot away from extraordinary mommy, right? And you run. I wish I could say I ran. I'm not that good. But when you are looking for guests, what do you seek out?
So, credit to my executive producer, Laura Rossi. She is wonderful at finding guests, and then there is the collaborate. Then we collaborate on all of the ones that come our way and the ones that we're looking for. We're looking for people. I'm going to use this word. It's like people that inspire, people that are passionate, people that have an interesting story to tell that I believe will impact our listeners. Because it's all about, you asked me, what do I get out of it? And as you know, this is just the byproduct of doing this. You get to meet wonderful people who care, like people who care about making the world better. So I find that a byproduct. What I'm really looking for is who is going to help with the inspirational message, the courage to change, the courage to go on, the resilience, the it's not too late. Like, this is what happened to me, and this is what I was able to do, and it was not easy, but this is what came out on the other side. So it's anything that moves the needle for people to grow and expand, and provides them with that space to really think about who they are, what they care about, and who they want to be in a community of people who are doing the same.
As a psychologist, I imagine that you also have an interesting perspective on the human spirit as you're listening to these stories. Is there anything that you've heard that has surprised you?
You know, having been a psychologist for a long time and hearing and witnessing lots of life over several decades, I could say that the theme that continues with the podcast is the strength and resilience of people. I mean, some of the stories are just, it's astonishing what people have experienced personally, situationally, environmentally, relationally, addiction, right? And then to be able to rise, and not only to rise personally, but then how they rise impacts their family, all the people they know, and then they're talking about it, and then it's having a ripple effect. So I never get used to hearing about the stories of courage, risk, and resilience and reinvention. And it's really true. Like, when you hear someone having gone through something and creating something or becoming something, and they say, you know, if I can do this, you can do this. And I know there are times that people say, well, yeah, I can't be this 1% of this famous person or this gazillionaire. And it's not about that. It's that you can rise and you can become, because the spirit, the human spirit. And I think this is where it gets interesting, because that word has lots of different meanings I've learned and experienced over time. And so there's this human spirit, and then there's some people who have more spiritual, they believe in more of a spiritual connection, that we're all here for a reason to do something. Mm-hmm. And whatever one believes, I do believe that we do have a spirit, we do have a soul, that we're here to do something. And sometimes, to your point of the horrific unfairness and tragedy of life, it's hard to make sense of that.
Right.
To say, yeah, well, things happen for a reason. I mean, it's much easier if you like get a fender bender and then you get a new car. Like, it's much easier to say that. But I totally agree with you. And I feel it's about trying to help individuals get in touch with who they are, their essence, who they are at their core, and what is that drive that they have, that thing where we get out of our head and we keep feeling pulled in a direction. I do think that the curveballs we get in life end up providing opportunities to go in directions we did not think we were going to go, but perhaps it might be part of what's in us, in our story.
You know, it's listening to you talk about that. The human spirit, right? So the multi definitions of the spirit, right? There's that spiritual side, and then there is the spirit and the soul, and then there is the spirit, the energy, right? Like, do we have that spirit to keep going? And
It's good.
I am always amazed at how each of those plays a role. One of the words you said in the beginning was serendipity, right? So that's the serendipitous piece to me, is the connections. Like, how does this happen? And then this happens, and it tells me I'm in the right place. there have been so many dominoes that have lined up that have continued to assure me that this is the right time for me to be doing this podcast. I've had the domain for 5 years. I've known that I was doing this, and the name, I wanted to do a podcast for more than 15 or 20 years. I worked in traditional media years and years ago. And when women weren't doing podcasts, I thought, you know what? I'd love to do a podcast, but I didn't want to just choose one niche because I didn't want to just talk family or just talk politics so I tabled it until it became right. And after going through the recovery process, I thought, now is the time. I will do a story-based, and it will have to do with hope in some capacity. And I went back to Florida after going there for recovery. And I went into a meeting and a gentleman said, you have no idea how important it is that you come back. Because every time you come, it shows people that it's possible, that you can stay sober and that this can work. Every time you're here, Danielle, it's like hope comes to visit. And the second he said that, I thought,
there it is.
There it is. There's the name of the podcast. And that day, I bought the domain. And I was 9 months sober. And I'm 6 years now.
Congratulations.
So thank you. But I wasn't ready to do it then. And there are so many iterations of me that have traveled through what will this podcast look like? What version of me needs to be the one doing the podcast and doing the interviews? And I learned that I had a lot more to go through. I had a lot of hope to lose before I was capable of sitting in this chair and saying, okay, what does hope look like? Right? I wasn't ready. And in that way, things needed to happen in such a pattern, in such a way that I could be here in this place to have this conversation with you and feel equipped to do it appropriately. And it's not that I didn't feel I was decent at interviewing before. It's that I didn't feel equipped to have conversations fully around hope before I had fully had it and fully lost it.
Yeah.
And then seen it again.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question I would ask you is, what is the most beautiful piece of advice you've seen given?
All right, two just popped into my mind, but there's one
I love it.
That's just popping up to the top.
Then go with both of them.
Okay, so the main one, and then we'll see if I can remember the second one. The main one is, you are enough as you are.
I love that.
You are enough as you are.
So I have enough tattooed right here. And the origin of that is I am and I have.
I love that.
Okay.
And that, yeah, so we'll just keep it at that one, because that it's so powerful. We come into this world with whatever our genetic blueprint is, with whatever parents we have, with whatever ethnicity, race, religion, culture, geography, and here we go. And there are many who believe we also come in with this sort of path, this this, here's what I'm supposed to do, back to the soul thing. And again, regardless of what everyone believes about that, we enter this world where we don't even realize how much programming comes into us for all of those different categories that I mentioned. And then unfortunately, what it does is it continues to take us away from ourselves. And we have to try on all these different things, and we have to do this and get graded on this. And are we good enough? Do we have enough? And this was all before social media, when it was all in our face.
Right.
And So I love what you have. Like, that's it. You are enough, because when we get back to our essence, it's all in there. And our life experiences just pile on us. And it's those of us who've had really traumatic situations that really can have a tremendous impact on one's sense of self, like who I am, my identity. And I think if we could continue to tell our kids, our friends, our loved ones, our colleagues, our employees, like, you're enough. Like, we might need to work on some things. Like, might need to work on some behaviors or some attitudes, or maybe a little bit of emotional regulation when these things happen. But you are enough as you are.
What in your personal experience frames your idea of hope?
There you go.
You settled into that one.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to me. Like, I just body language and just hearing you like sigh into that. Like, it sounds like there was something that came to mind.
Yeah, the first part is finding it. The second part is articulating it. I would say like personally, just with our parenting journey, they're now having young adults, 3 young adults. Looking back at some of those periods of time, which when each of them in different times was experiencing challenges that were hard for them. And as you know, as a parent, the powerlessness of watching your kids suffer.
In any capacity, there is any pain.
No. Yeah, and the suffering can be internal. The suffering can be at the hands of others. The suffering could be all these other factors that are out there, particularly most of our kids who have gone through COVID at different times, and loss and grief. I would say now, and this is where the gray hair comes in, is, well, maybe that's partially why it's gray, but the wisdom of the grayness is seeing that life, like they're moments, and that whole notion of this too shall pass, those are really hard to stick to those, what all the inspirational sayings that we're trying to lean on when the moments are so hard and we're so powerless. But I can say there are several that I can think of that coming out on the other side and seeing what they become, it gives me tremendous hope on, again, back to the human spirit, like the human growth. And I feel like another related to what we're talking about, something that is a disservice to us in our messaging and our programming is that we're supposed to be happy. We're not supposed to have pain. Everything's supposed to work out fine. You're entitled to all of this. I should have this. I should be like this. God, it's such a bunch of crap, because that sets us up for so much extra pain. I was reading this book last night. I read when I get into bed, and I think I've read the same page like 3 times because of how that is getting into bed.
Yep.
But the author is talking about having visited so many third world countries that basically most of the poorest people who are surviving, they have all this stuff of pain and loss and struggle like built into their experience that they basically like end up being more resilient. They smile more and they experience more joy and happiness than so many of us that have so much.
By far. I had the extreme privilege of visiting Africa, 2 different countries in Africa in the last 10 years. And I came back And I looked at my kids and I said, never again do I want to hear you complain about school. Because these kids go to school and they go in uniforms that have been passed down and they are clean. They are torn and mended and torn and mended, and they are probably 10 and 15 and 20 years old. The uniforms. Every third kid is wearing shoes. Every other third kid is wearing makeshift shoes. And every other third kid is barefoot. And yet they are among the happiest individuals I have ever encountered in my life.
Good.
And they don't have a fraction. They're fascinated by my cell phone because they could see themselves for the first time. They didn't know what they looked like.
Good.
And we are surrounded by kids who are doing videos at Christmas time of their holes. And did I get as much as my neighbor? And no, I don't have any intention of working 8 hours today. I came in for 6. Why would you possibly want me there for 8? It's perspective is extraordinary.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
25, 23, and 21.
I am close to you. I have one that turns 21 next week, and then 19. So I'm just a smidge behind
Just a
you.
tick behind, right?
What do you want your kids to say about you at the end of the day?
Yeah, these are good. Yeah, these are. Danielle, you're making me think. Okay.
Thinking is good.
Thinking is good. I would.
You're used to being on the giving end of the questions.
I am. Yes.
So it's good to
different.
keep you on your toes
Makes
every
me
now
get
and
up.
then.
That I was kind, compassionate, loving, and that I made a difference in the world while I was in it.
I love that.
Yeah.
When you think about making a difference, what does that look like? How would you like to make a difference? What is that? What is the Dr. Dan Peters stamp of difference look like?
It's helping people see, realize, and become all that they're capable of being. It's to follow that inner song, those inner thoughts, those voices, that passion, that force, and to reflect back to them when they can't see it themselves, who they are enough, and who they are, what they're capable of, if they can embrace that inner authenticity and have the courage to just go for it and to expand. And so by them becoming what they can become, the impact that they have on all those that they love and come into contact with, it's just a ripple effect. It just expands.
See, I love the ripple effect. So, Dr. Dan, if I come to you and I say, I want to be my true and authentic self, and that song you want me to hear, what I'm trying to listen to, I can't hear it. Where do I start?
We would start with how do you define yourself now? Like how would you get words to the identity? I am, or
Okay.
Who are you? Who am I? And we might have to spend a little time on that. And then it's how close is that to who you want to be? And then we spend some time on what that is. And in between all that, we're pulling apart what feels like you, because there's a feeling. And well, I'll get to that in a second. What feels like you and what feels like the shoulds of society? Because we have both, right? I
Right.
want to be like that person. Well, that person might actually be an expander of some sorts for you, but also
Right.
that person might also be something that is representing our culture that might not be aligned with what you truly want and are. So we start with those sort of questions. And I always grab my chest because I feel it. My indicator is in my chest. I know lots of people, they have it in their head. They have
Mine's
it
in my chest.
stomach. Is yours in your chest too?
Yes, mine is it's very core related. It's very, if I'm off alignment, and that level of intuition has done nothing but increase as I've gotten older, as I've become wiser and more in touch with what's right and what's wrong. I can very clearly remember a moment probably closing in on 15, 17 years ago now that I was walking down the stairs in my house and I thought, I did not sign up for this. This was not what I had planned. And it's interesting because it wasn't what I didn't have planned either. I mean, it was just all of a sudden I was there and I didn't know how I ended up there. But I felt like I had a starring role in someone else's movie.
Well, good.
And I knew that it needed to shift.
Yes, you knew. And the other thing is as you've gotten older, I imagine you've cultivated and listened to your intuition because that's something we're not taught to do. And all the parents I've worked with over the years, it's like, yeah, like we need to teach our kids to trust themselves, to listen to themselves.
Yes.
And, there's this whole notion of like in school, if you get the right answer on a math problem, but you don't show your work, you don't get any credit for it. And there are a lot of intuitive people who know answers, but they can't show their work for a variety of different reasons. And intuition is like that. And so I love how you describe that. And I feel in the work, it's helping people tap into their multiple intelligences. And what I mean by that is our bodies are intelligent. Many people say our gut is our first brain.
Yes.
And like you, I have gotten to the point through trust and cultivation and experience of I know whether something feels right or wrong now because it goes to my chest before it goes into words, right?
Agreed.
And it's trusting it and then trying to find the words so I understand it, but not trusting it just because I can't find the words.
Well, it's interesting because when I feel that now, I just go with it. I don't feel as though I owe anyone an explanation anymore. There are times when I can sense someone in a room before I see them. And I will know that there's someone in the room that is not a good connection for me. And I go back to thinking about, there was a time my son came home from school one time and he said, Mom, I have a really bad feeling in my belly. I have to talk to you. And we had a conversation. And the first thing I said to him was, I want you to know something. I'm incredibly proud of you. Because that feeling you got in your belly, you're right on. Because that was telling you that something about the situation wasn't right. I want you to keep listening to that. Right. Because that is important. And those are the things that we don't always tell our kids or people in our lives. And I can think of a very specific time that I didn't listen to my intuition because my gut kept saying something is getting ready to happen and you should not leave the house. And I kept thinking, you can't call your friends and say, I'm not going out tonight because I have a bad feeling. And I ended up in a really bad car accident that night. And that feeling stayed with me all night until I sat in my friend's driveway. I was the driver for the night. And I sat in her driveway at 1:00 in the morning after dropping everybody off thinking, which way should I go home? Because I'm still not safe yet. And a girl ran a red light and hit my car. Wow. And that moment was I will never again
Mm-hmm.
not listen to my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a bad feeling that says don't leave the house, I'm not leaving the house.
Right. And these are the things that we have to keep talking to everyone. I mean, especially our young people, but everyone, because this is back to your question about the work. The work is helping people get in touch with their inner knowing.
Okay.
Because I mean, I do believe it's a continuum, and some people have a lot of that just right off the bat, and some people have to develop it and dig to get it. But we all have that. We all come with this inner knowing, and it's all the noise and all the programming and all the stuff that takes us away from going within to understand what's best for us, like you have. Because we're programmed to go without. Like, okay, I'm not feeling good, so I'm going to eat, I'm going to drink, I'm going to escape, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to get more.
External reason.
Right. It's external. And the thing is,
what are you doing wrong?
Right. And that's just crazy. It's the crazy thing about the time we're living in, with all of the technology and having all the messages all the time, beeping and buzzing, is the challenge is for us all to, I mean, you don't have to throw it all away, but like know the difference, like keep it out there. And it's fine to want to have stuff.
Yeah.
But the assets and the resources are actually within.
How do you define hope?
Jeez. Again, yeah, I love that. These are great. I've never defined it before. So that I'm aware of. So let me think about this. I would say hope. Yeah, how to define hope without hope, using the word hope. Hope is knowing that there's the possibility that things can be better than they are.
What do you mean?
That it's larger, it's expansive, and it's knowing that even though right now looks like this or feels like this, there is more. There is more.
Do you have any big hopes?
Okay. Danielle, I have lots of big hopes.
Do you?
They all, I guess, can be distilled to it is the main hope is for us as humans, as humanity, for us to collectively tap into our humanity and to know we're so good, like to know that we are good and to know that we are a collective. We are connected to everything. And the hope is for that kindness, that compassion, that love, for realizing like these are all our brothers and sisters. And when someone is hurting, our communities are hurting, we don't think we see it. We think we could separate ourselves from it, and we can't. It impacts us at levels and energetic levels, as you talked about, that we don't even understand. And we have the ability to move things forward. There is enough for everyone. And there's enough love for everyone. There's enough connection. There's enough compassion. There is enough. And we are in some really troubled times, and
yep.
That's why when I got this invitation, I'm like, oh man, this is what we need to be talking about.
No, I appreciate that. I've had a few people say, wow, this is a good time for that. And it's funny because I figure a handful of years ago, we were saying the same thing to some degree, but it feels even more amplified right now. Because every time I turn around, I'm thinking, really? okay, we're focusing on hope because I have to. I have to believe in the core good of most. I can't say that I believe that everybody is good deep down. And there was a time when I really, really believed that everybody's really good somewhere. And I don't, if I'm believing my eyes and my ears, I'm not getting that feeling. But I do believe that there are more good people, that there is more humanity than otherwise. And because of that, I think it's important to keep reminding people that the good exists and keep putting the hope and the positive out there so that when things do feel dark, that we don't forget that there is light. Because we need the taillights in front of us to be reminded that there's good we can follow, that there's other people doing good, that there's others out there who want to keep going. There's strength in numbers. Where can people find you?
People can find me. So my website is drdanpeters.com, and social is at Dr. Dan Peters in all the places. Also, I direct a mental health center in California, and that for people who are looking for counseling or evaluation consultation, that's at summitcenter.us.
And where in California is that?
Our main office is in Northern California in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And then we have a satellite office in Torrance, California, and Southern California.
Amazing. It has been delightful to have a conversation with you. I'm so grateful that you've taken time with me. And it's always so good for my heart to have conversations with people who are in such hope alignment. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to add? Any additional words of wisdom or hope or goodness?
Yes, great questions, by the way. I'm just going to the reservoir for some added inspiration.
Thank you.
I disagree with you, Danielle. I do agree that there is more light than dark, and we need to keep focusing on that. And for everyone to know that everyone effort to be light in the dark has the ripple effect we're talking about. And it's the little things. Like, so I think we all get understandably overwhelmed by the enormity of all these things that are happening right now. And be kind, look at people, hold open a door, smile, help people, say hello, ask someone how they are. I mean, it's the littlest things create the light, create the energy, and move everyone forward.
Dr. Dan Peters, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a pleasure.
Likewise. Thanks, Danielle.
And thank you, friends, for being here with us on Hope Comes to Visit. It is a great joy and a great pleasure to bring these conversations to you. And I so hope that the hope we visited you with today brought you a little bit of inspiration, a little motivation, a little courage, reminded you that you are enough, or maybe we were a little bit of that ripple effect that Dr. Dan was talking about that allows you to share with someone else, that pushes you forward to open a door or say hello or have a conversation or be that good that someone else needs in their day. If you are inspired by the conversation, please do share this episode with someone you know and love. Until the next time we see you, be good to yourself, and take care. And we love you, and we'll see you next time. Naturally, it's important to thank the people who support and sponsor the podcast. This episode is supported by Chris Dully, a trusted criminal defense attorney and friend of mine here in St. Louis, who believes in second chances and solid representation. Whether you're facing a DWI, felony, or traffic issue, Chris handles your case personally with clarity, compassion, and over 15 years of experience. When things feel uncertain, it helps to have someone steady in your corner. Call 314-384-4000 or 314-DUI-HELP, or you can visit dullylawfirm.com to schedule your free consultation.